Bounce through the middle. That's Dara Rahmani. Oh, and there's an easy run in. Just looking at the replay there, and as it was being shown again, the referee in fact overturned the appeal for an earlier knock-on. So here's a chance now for Leeds to go on the break. It's a long way, the cover's coming in, but Calderwood, it's an important score. Oh, it's a tremendous run. Mark Calderwood, one of the Leeds Rhinos, just 18 and a great prospect. Back inside, and that's with Ben Hampson. That's a good break up the middle. Should be an easy run in. Nick Walsh. Could be an overlap already created here. Amani has the pace. That could be the decisive score. Yestin Harris, key figure, but hasn't had much possession to use. There's a good break up the middle, though. That's good running by Harris now. Yestin Harris sets it up, and it's a run in under the post. No, is he going to get caught? Momentum takes him across. Scott Benson in trouble on his own line. Knocked forward. Scrummage again. So the Leeds rugby captain. Tough call here. Shadowed all the way by Nick Walsh. There's the push and pull and the loose pass. Injury time being played. It could be a dive for the score that settles the outcome.
Saracens through to the second round. One upset in the first round. Wasps going out against guest side the Samurai. This try scored by Gavin Henson of Swansea. Now might the real minnows of round one cause an upset against the Premiership champions of the 15-a-side game. Here's Nick Mullins.
And they're trying desperately to break down this Leicester side, and they are more than holding their own against Leicester, who won the tournament back in 1995. What a major result this would be for the Nigerians. But Mark Meenan breaks through the defence, shows some quality, and just trots in for the opening try. Flick inside to David Nikwai, captain, but given away. And Leicester will scoot in for the second try. Tristan Prosser, who seconds before was making the big tackle, now strolls in for the second try. A rare kick, looking to ease the pressure, looking to just change the emphasis, and Ben Lewitt comes back and maybe senses an opportunity here for Leicester to break in open play. Oliver Smith out to Harry Ellis, the scrum half. Back to Bainbridge Kay, the tall, boulding captain, and Tom Coles spins, pirouettes, and touches down. Third Leicester try. Lots of new names and new faces to get used to in this very young Leicester side. That's Tristan Prosser skating in for his second try. He's big and he's strong. David Nikwai, the captain, the Ghanaian, inside to Kazali, the fly half. Again, just a little over elaborate, and Leicester will score another try. Chris Jones, gifted to him by Nigerian over-ambition, and Chris Jones completes the day and the job for Leicester. It's hardly been a rout, but they've never been in trouble.
No wild romance then at Twickenham. London Nigerian, the only team not to score a point in round one. The winners, Saracens, Sale, Bristol, Northampton and the Penguins with identical scores. The Samurai, Newcastle and Leicester. The quarter-final draw. Only one London club left, Saracens, and they're first out against Sale. In the end, it was a comfortable win for Saracens. Dara Omani with a hat-trick of tries to add to his 2 in the first round. Also scoring in the quarter-final, Thomas Castagned. And after the game, the new Saracens still had breath enough for a quick word.
Thomas, you must enjoy coming to Twickenham. Last time you were here playing 15-a-side with the Barbarians. Today, scoring tries again and 7-a-side.
Yeah, it's very. I enjoy coming in the stadium. Not when I come to play England because it's very hard, but when it's for games like that, it's very funny and all the crowd, is in a good way, so it's very cool.
Weather to make you feel at home in Castres or Toulouse or wherever? It's this sort of midsummer weather?
I didn't know that the weather was like that in London, so I think I will stay for a long time because it's very nice. No, I think it's the summer day today, so I'm very happy that the tournament was on this day, but I can tell you when we're on the ground it's very hot because it's very hot.
And do you like the new shirt, the new club?
Yeah, I like it, and I think it's on my heart for a long time.
Good players around you, of course. Kieran Bracken, Richard Hill, and like.
Yeah, of course we have very good names, but we mustn't think about that because on the ground the result is different. So we need to win games, and it's not with the names that we will win games. It's with a team, with a spirit team, and we have to improve that, and we have to show on the ground that we're able to make good things.
What about the Sevens game? Do you enjoy that?
Yeah, but I'm too lazy for these kind of things. But it makes you become fit.
I saw the lads pulling your leg because occasionally even you drop the ball.
Yeah, it can happen. That's life.
You going to win?
We try to, but we played yesterday, so it's very hard today. But half of Saris will win.
And here's Pat Lamb, the skipper. Grant Seeley on hand to help. Ian Vass, long ball out to Lamb. Has opportunities here. Craig Moyer, lots of men over. Luca Martin is one of them, and the Italian centre takes 55 seconds to breach Bristol's defence. So midway through the first half, Bristol still searching for that opening. Darren Carr, former Gloucester player, under-21 player, and you see the speed he has. And I suspect that Ian Vass thought he had him covered. Different proposition this for Northampton, having strolled their way to victory against London Welsh. Alan Bateman suddenly finds the gap and shows the quality that earned him promotion to the Lions a couple of seasons ago on that winning tour of South Africa. And it's for moments like that he won it. And it's great to see a quality player still at the top of his form, and Northampton re-stretch that lead. They now lead by 7 clear points with the conversion to come, which is good. Another 2 points for James Bramall. 2 converted tries for the Saints approaching half-time. They lead 14-5. Northampton Saints in possession at the moment to have a slender advantage at the start of this second half. Ian Vass showing a decent turn of pace, and James Bramall, who's already scored 2 tries, being tracked by Marko Stanjevic. Good battle between those two, but Alan Bateman was on hand. Before the end of the day, there'll be very little of this pitch in sunshine as the sun begins to sink behind this huge edifice at Twickenham. In the meantime, Luca Martin is helping out, and Ian Vass on the far side is the try scorer, and all of a sudden Bristol looking very, very ragged, and it's all falling apart for them. Simon Danieli looking to do just that, but it's all very slow, isn't it? Cadwallader again, and now they do break into Northampton territory. John Porter, the under-21 flanker, gets the try. Bristol earning some respectability, but you have to sense it's all coming a little too late for them.
The Penguins with Serevi as captain and Eric Rush playing together, 2 of the legends of the 7-a-side game, and together in harness for the first time ever. And a Samurai side comprising Australians, South Africans, and a very important posse of Welshmen too. And here they meet in the quarter-final, set up initially there. The pass from Serevi, and the try for Satala. Viliani Satala, who, like Serevi, played in the Barbarian colours back end of last season here And he opens the scoring in the opening seconds. All made to look so simple. Now with Sarevi, turns on the magic. Still has an acceleration. Maybe 32, but he defies his years. Wonderful support. Gao Gao steps out of the tackle. And Dan Gao Gao, star of the triumphs here in 98 and 99, has done it again. Well, Sarevi, perfectly timed pass, deceptive pace, and then when you have a man of that talent inside, scored 3 tries in the final last year, did Gao Gao. Williams taken in turn by Hedy Engelbrecht. Oh, it's great support play. Engelbrecht back, and here's Matty Isaac to the line, and the try. Well, it's superb work by Ben Harvey initially. Then the little flick back. Fire Williams and Matty Isaac with the try. 5-metre scrum, and that gives possession to the Penguins. Even money they'll score here. Gao Gao, and trouble though, it's good spoiling by Samurai, but they've got a penalty against Samurai. Quickly to take it, Eric Rush. Sarevi has Satala outside, doesn't need him. Tries a little kick step, but he's well shadowed. Oh, he's impossible to stop. Look at that, in the end, ghosts his way through. All the hitch kicks you like. Didn't do the trick, so he just stopped and went the other way. The man's a genius at this game. Watch this. Once, twice, dummy loop, little hitch kick, and again, 3 times. That's no good, I'll go this way. Oh, that's magic, eh? Kaini Elisada, very tall figure, who's another on the wandering 7. So meanwhile, Hedy Engelbrecht is the link man. And they just they put so much pressure on. One goes in, they all go in. The ball goes loose, and it's a gift for Eric Rush. Eric Rush, the New Zealand star, and that was something the Samurai didn't need to do. But that basically means it's pretty well all over for Samurai. Samurai here, just throwing the ball away. Eric Rush. Drake chasing. Matty Isaac, oh, it's a great pick-up. Well, that was skill from Australia's World Sevens captain. Watch the pick-up here. Yes, that'll do. Well, great consolation score. Pity these two sides had to meet this early. It would have made perhaps an epic final. And that's the final flourish of the match. So the last hurrah from the Samurai. But there's no doubting the reigning champions, the Penguins, look like a class a cut above anyone else at this point.
In the last quarter-final, Newcastle had a surprisingly easy victory over Leicester, and E.P. Tyone with 2 of the Falcons' tries. Well, Gareth Rees, that sorts out the semi-final lineup. It's 3 English Premiership teams against these Penguins, and you've got to say, who can beat them?
I think they've still got to be favourites. Sarevi was fantastic. They got down a bit and he just lifted the side. They looked a little bit quiet, and 3 or 4 brilliant pieces of individual play that the English boys won't be able to cope with, I don't think.
Having said that, this E.P. Tyone of Newcastle, I mean, he's a mini Jonah Lomu.
He looks the part. Whether they have the pace in Newcastle, they look really well drilled, all young players, and an impressive win over London Irish. And in the top half of the draw, Saracens against Northampton. That's the more interesting to me. The Saracens with Thomas Castagnette, the first time we've really seen him in a Saracens jersey. Great to see. Darren O'Malley, 3 tries in the last game. Been scoring tries for the last 2-3 years, a little bit unnoticed, and he of course played with Penguins last year when they won, so he knows what it's like to lift this cup.
Okay, semi-finals coming up.
Have a great day.
So the first semi-final still in the bright sunshine, and 2 clubs who've striven in recent years to win this title but have yet not done so, especially Saracens, 40th time here. They've never won it. 3 times runners-up, including last year. First scrum, both of them convincing winners in previous rounds. And now, whoever wins, minimum 20,000 guaranteed. Chasing back is Alan Bateman. He's played well today, and he shows that strength. May not be the biggest in stature, but he's got such power upper body. Northampton. Ian Vass, who's impressed too. Luca Martin, the Italian midfield player, back to Bateman again. Look at that, lovely touch on the British Lion. Bateman, half the gap. Craig Moore is outside, but so too Pat Lam inside. Northampton, impressive. Chesney in with the big tackle. Took out Luca Martin. Good support play, Dario Mani. He's been in the thorn of flesh of both Leeds and Sale in the previous 2 rounds. That's loose. Pat Lam with the pickup. Grant Seeley sending it back, but look at the tackles coming in. Richard Hill that time. Now it's away by Nick Walsh. And wide outside, it could be Saracens with the opening score. So Sarah's opened the account. And so Ben Johnson there, the 25-year-old newcomer on England's tour of South Africa, gets the pass out from Castagned. Oh, that's some kick from Thomas Castagned. And what an opening for Saracens after just 2.5 minutes. They're 7-0 ahead.
Number 15, Thomas Castagned.
Hill trying to dig it out, but it's Northampton who've got possession. Flick back by Ian Vass. Switch now. Mark Tucker. Oh, well slipped. Craig Moyer, the new Scotland international, played against England in the Calcutta Cup. James Bramall, very much the playmaker. Luca Martin. Could be an overlap here. On goes Bateman. Can he go all the way? Still the support there in numbers. Chesney with the tackle, but the try will be under the post. So, tremendous work. Grant Seeley is so strong.
Correction, number 3, Grant Seeley.
That's fine now.
This to level it then. James Bramall. 7-all it is. We played 4 minutes.
Same possession by James Bramall.
Bramall restarts. Chesney. Oh, there's pushing. Obstruction. Possession goes Northampton's way. It's quickly taken, and the switch again. They're supporting well. Bramall.
He's on his knee first. Holding on his knee. Get up.
Man on the deck, it was Seeley who went over the man, and so relief for Sarries. Runners up in 97, runners up again last year. An epic final against the Penguins. Could be a repeat. But Northampton have looked strong. They've grown with this tournament in confidence and teamwork. Two to one. Overlap, easy. Craig Moyer. Oof. He's not grounded it yet. He has now.
Oi, shut up, fella! Oi! Zip it! It's all right there, mate! Oi, zip it, fella, it's down. It's down. You got over the line, you leave it alone, mate.
Well, Bateman with that experience. Johnson did his best, but eventually Moyer could force his way down, the Aberdeen-born Scotsman, who's played also sevens for Wales, but 15 aside, it's always been Scottish ambition. Clear 7-point lead as Bramall gets the conversion.
And again, by number 4, James Bramall.
About half a minute to go of this first period of time. The crowd really rising to this. It's a close contest. Restart by Bramall. Chesney, big presence, has such pace too. Originally a wing three-quarter. Nick Walsh, Johnson, and round goes Castagned. Back come Sarries in style. Well, that's the kind of running that we've come to expect of this brilliant French star. Still only 25, he's got 35 caps for France, and now will certainly grace the playing fields of England in Sarries' colours. His try, it'll be his conversion attempt. It's building up into an epic semi-final. 14-all it is. So an increasing influence, and that is the final play of the first half. They'll change ends, all square, 14 points apiece. Basking in the midsummer sun in the east stand as Saracens start this second half, locked together. Johnson quickly through, putting pressure on the line, and there's the softest touch. Saracens take the lead for the first time. In front of the posts. It's just made it, and so Saracens come back with a vengeance. So Duncan McRae. So McRae's try, Castagnet's conversion. Castagned.
Take that, please.
Northampton waste no time. Amani being closely shadowed in this semi-final. Northampton have seen the danger of the man who scored 5 tries in the first 2 rounds. It's penalty though now to Northampton. The European champions, of course, showing their expertise at the shortened version of the game. Had very effective team training down in Biarritz with John Steele. They're looking fit and certainly threatening another great 15-a-side season. Grant Seeley doing a lot of the grafting work up front. Charles Palmer, though, says that ball had gone forward. Referee Charles Palmer. There's the big figure of Chris Chesney.
Over the top, fellas. Over the top.
Balls at Saracens, they went to Bristol, came back to Saracens. McRae, wonderful vision. Streaking home is Castagned. What an influence he's having, and he's playing cat and mouse. And that takes the try just a little bit further infield. Johnson, the scorer. Well, a little bit of cheek here. It's over the try line and thought, well, perhaps I can make the drop goal attempt a little easier. And then waits for Ben Johnson to come up in support. And so they stretch away 12 points.
Yeah, we stopped it, okay?
And it could be 2 more.
Yeah, we stopped, we're on now.
Oh, that's some kick too. He's really on song now. That's 4 conversions of 4 tries in this to add to the 7 from the previous 2 rounds. And as well, a try and another giveaway of a try in this tie as well. 3 tries, 11 conversions. Thomas Castagned. So, can Pat Lam engender some kind of a rebound and bring Northampton back into the tie? Place in the final at stake. And with it, the first prize of 50,000, the runners up 20,000, losing semi-finalists 10,000. It's big money. Good work by Bramall. Support not really close enough at hand, but they've recovered it now, and there could be an overlap now. Bramall again with Pat Lam to the right, not perhaps the speed much he's looking at. Here's one though in Simon Webster. Bateman, Webster again. Certainly made quite an impact when he came on off the bench early on in the match. Here's Lam, pass was forward, wasn't it anyway? Knock on too, but there's been obstruction. And Northampton desperate for possession now. We're 5 minutes into the second period. 2 converted tries ahead. It's a tall order. Pat Lam, that's a great master of motivation, feeds on now with Grant Seeley for the line. Seeley makes it. They're not out of it yet. 1.5 minutes to play. But they'll need this conversion. 28-19. Big responsibility for James Bramall, but he's been kicking well. 7 conversions against London Welsh, 4 against Bristol. And now 2 out of 2. Can he make it 3 out of... Oh, it's just drifted left. And that may be a crucial blow, because they still have to score twice. They are 9 points adrift. And we're into the last minute. Bramall in a hurry. They've performed well, Northampton here. Missing out of Rodber and Pountney. But still an effective, useful side. Lam. What a talisman he's been. First with Newcastle, then when they took the Premiership, and then with Northampton, the European title. Here goes Bramall. He's cleared. That's a lovely break. And that's a scorching try. It may be too late. We've half a minute to go. He's running back. He knows he's just got to take the drop quickly and then hope for an instant possession from the restart. But of course Northampton kick it away. So it's just 2 points in it, 28-26. But it's Northampton who have to kick the ball off to Saracens. What a semi-final this has turned out to be. 2 of the great English clubs locked together. The winners to play The star-studded Penguins or Newcastle Falcons. It's all down to possession here. Northampton need it, they've got it. It's fed back by Bateman. Popped up by Craig Moyer. The whistle's gone. That is it, though. The final whistle. Northampton's last gasp. Saracens have made it. They're in the final for the second successive year. And what a thrilling semi-final it proved to be. Saracens 28, Northampton 26. And certainly, if not before, that man Castagned made his mark. Thomas Castagned really sparkled in that, not just with the boot, but also with a try that he made himself and another he created for Johnson to score. So, Saracens jubilant, they're into the final, and will it be the Penguins again?
Referee is Mr. Rob Dixon.
10 months ago, on this very stage, we saw one of rugby's great upsets, perhaps the greatest upset of all time, as France beat New Zealand in the World Cup semi-final. I'm not trying to compare the two, but if Newcastle should beat the Penguins over the next 14 minutes, then it would certainly be in the same kind of league. But that's the kind of quality they are up against. Villamoni Delassou taking just 25 seconds to score the first try. A huge, huge prospect in the game. He's just made it into the Fijian full test team, but he's been a star of the new World 7 series this year, and it is for that reason that he is a star. Conversion was good.
One to go. One more.
So in the flash of an eye, the Penguins, the pick of the sevens, dare I say, are 7-0 up. Waisale Serevi restarts in his white boots. You have to be good if you wear white rugby boots, but he is good. So just about gets away with it. And this is going to be a huge, huge test of Newcastle's youngsters. If they can keep their heads above water here, then I think they'll be doing very, very well. No real recognisable names in this Newcastle side. They did reach the final of the Gala Sevens not so long ago, but the big name first teamers are all away. Rob Andrew and co preparing for the new league season to come, starting next weekend. So they're kind of throwing the young guys in here, and this is a very, very steep learning curve against the best bunch of sevens players in the world. This is Vili Satala, the Fijian World Cup centre, played against England here in the World Cup. Eric Rush, the New Zealand sevens captain. Satala again. Wonderful turn of pace, scores underneath the posts. Played against England here, as we were saying, in the World Cup, but the sevens really is his game. He plays the 15-a-side game in France. But you just get the impression with these guys that this is what they really love doing. Bright sunshine, firm pitch, a defence to run through. Thank you very much. Conversion by Serevi is missed. It's the first one he's missed all day. He doesn't put a huge amount of effort into it, but he only puts in as much as he needs to, but he's missed that one. And Serevi probably won't sleep tonight knowing him. I suspect it won't have a huge bearing on the eventual outcome, but Serevi trots back and Mr. White Boots restarts. And poor old Newcastle prepare to take another wave of Penguin attack, but maybe not. Maybe they can offer a little dose of themselves. Let's see what they can do. Dave Walder, who's played well in their 2 wins so far against London Irish and Leicester, 35-0. Here's Walder again. Newcastle just trying to find some gaps. It's going to be very, very difficult for them to find those gaps, but maybe Epi Taioni can have a go. He's really impressed us today. He's a new signing, another one who played for Tonga in the World Cup against England as well, and he's played well, and it's the strength and brute force of players like Tyone that Newcastle are going to need if they're to hold off this Penguin side, founded in 1959 to foster growth and goodwill and camaraderie in the game of rugby. And largely speaking, they've won most of their games, but what a moment for Gareth McClure. He's scored in every single game to this stage, but I firmly suspect that that's the try that'll mean most to him. And it just proves that if you're quick, it doesn't matter who you're playing against. You might be playing against the best bunch of sevens players in the world, but show a bit of pace and you find the try lane. Conversion was good. So if the Penguins thought they were going to have a comfortable waddle into the final, or whatever Penguins do, then Newcastle have just shown them that they intend to put up a decent fight here. They trail by the 5 points, 2 tries to 1. A couple of minutes to go in this first half. Pitch now, as you can see, almost in total shadow. The sun not as strong as it was a little earlier on, when it was really beating down on these players and sapping the energy. And anyone who's got this far really will have done very, very well in the pre-season fitness stakes. Eric Rush just acting as scrum half there, getting the ball out to Vili Satala on that far side. It's just magic, isn't it? And here is Serevi. Old Mr. White Boots being chased down by Newcastle's defence. Ross Cook trying to dethrone the king of World Sevens. That would have been some story, but he hardly looked as if he was running, Serevi. He looks back and wonders what all the fuss was about. Never in doubt for Serevi. It was wonderful play to set up the attack, and just look at Ross Cook there, his moment of glory if he could have dragged down Serevi, but just ran out of space. And Serevi has missed the second conversion, rebounding off the crossbar. He needs to pull his socks up. Penguins, though, comfortably ahead by 10 points, 17-7 into the final minutes of this first half. And it's been a familiar pattern, hasn't it? It's Serevi restarting into that little slice of sunshine on the far side from the shadows shown by this huge west stand, and another chip ahead and another wonderful score. Taniela Gaugao, a Fijian 7-star amongst lots of 7-stars. He was outstanding last year. He scored the winning try, a kind of golden try against Saracens in the final in extra time. He's been a little quieter so far today, but a glimpse there of what Gaugao is capable of. Now then, big one this for Serevi. You could tell it was a big one because he really concentrated on that one, didn't he? But it was over. 24-7, there you go, at half-time. The Penguins have scored some great tries, and this was one of them. Gaugao, all his own work. Not only great vision, but the pace and the skill to finish it off. So it looks very much as if we're going to have a repeat of last year's final. The defending champions, the Penguins, at the moment comfortably on course to face Saracens, who they beat last year. Been very difficult for this Penguin side to get a 7 of this quality together. The manager, Bill Colecraft, having to salt 3 players out of Fiji in the middle of a military coup. It's a little interesting back home in Fiji at the moment, as I'm sure you're well aware, and obtaining visas from the embassy is not the easiest thing in the world to do, but Bill Calcraft and the Penguins managed to get 3 of them, and the Fijians all here. Not quite so difficult for the Newcastle team to get down from the northeast, but they've done very well to get this far. Reached the second round last year, losing to the eventual finalists, the Saracens, and I think a semi-final place will be more than they could have expected. They played very well, but are now really, really up in the rarefied atmosphere of Sevens play. They were hardly overwhelmed in the first half, but I think they know deep down that this is a team they would have to play out of their skins to beat. So our minutes break over. The players have sucked in whatever oxygen there is around southwest London this afternoon, and the Penguins 24-7 up now, playing from right to left in this second half, launching an attack immediately in that little slice of sunshine, and Villemoni Delasou shows the ball, fires upfield, just pumps those thighs, and defenders almost optional extras, unnecessary when Delasou has the bit between his teeth and the ball in his hand. The result was never in doubt, really. 40 metres out, and the big prospect in Fijian rugby scores his second try.
That's called gas. That's called gas in the trade, I think, isn't it? That's gas.
Here's Sarevi with the conversion. Absolutely no more energy than was necessary to get the ball between those posts. Founded in 1959, and they've been producing rugby ever since like this. It's just impossible to defend against, isn't it? He's just so big and so strong. You have to be first up with those tackles, and as soon as any tackle fails, then you are in big trouble, and players like Villemoni Delasou will make you pay the ultimate price. Newcastle collect from the restart. Ross Cook toured with the club's under-21 side to New Zealand this summer, so would have gained valuable experience, but he wouldn't have come up against anything quite like the Penguins. According to those who take note of these things, they are the most travelled sports club in the world. It'd be difficult to argue against. They played 2 matches in China, in Shanghai recently. And for those 41 years since the foundation in '59, they have been spreading the gospel of rugby union, and it's a gospel worth hearing, isn't it? When they play rugby like this, Satali invited to chase onto a ball which was flicked through by Sarevi. Satali, he may have been against 2 players, but he certainly wasn't going to give the ball up, and I think actually he was a little over-enthusiastic there, old Vili Satala, and he's been sent off. I remember the Penguins towards the end of the tournament last year, just losing a little in the discipline stakes, and that was a little high, wasn't it? And he will pay the price of seeing out the rest of the match on the touchline. So we're now playing 6 against 7, and it could be very interesting. 2 minutes Satala has to spend on the touchline. And the poor old guy who was clattered for Newcastle will know all about that. And there he is, in the naughty boys bin. Probably a little thankful of a breather, if the truth be known. But, John Gardner none the worse for wear. He's back on his feet, and Newcastle have this one-man advantage then. 2 minutes Satala has to spend in the sin bin, and Newcastle with a wonderful opportunity to get a couple of scores here perhaps, and they're trying to make the most of that opportunity with Dave Walden, England under-21, excels at cricket and football as well, but he's opted for rugby as his chosen profession. And here he is again, over the halfway line, and Newcastle have options here, but Howard Quigley let the ball slip through his hands. Knock on, and the ball will belong to the Penguins. Although they have spent years and years travelling the world and thrilling millions and millions with their own brand of 7-a-side rugby, it is the first time they've ever managed to pick Waiseli Sarevi and Eric Rush in the same 7, 2 of the best, if not the best, 7 players in the world. And it is a wonderful opportunity for those who made their way down to Twickenham today to see 2 players of very special quality. Here he is, Sarevi. spell with Leicester a couple of seasons ago, which didn't work, but still produced some sparkling performances every now and again. Now playing the game in France. And here's Villemoni Delassus. Even the best have their off moments. But Kane Elisara, half Dutch, half New Zealand, was there to sweep up the pieces. Now, what can Serevi do? Out to Rush, the best to the best. Not producing the best on that occasion. And Newcastle sweeping up the pieces, and Dave Walder scampering over for the try. Well, that's what happens when Serevi and Rush just got a little carried away with themselves. They over-elaborated almost. And Walder on hand, no nonsense northerner, and says thank you very much, we'll have enough of that. A couple of minutes to go in the second half. I don't think the result is in doubt, but Dave Walder just giving the Penguins a little to think about. Whatever happens to Newcastle, and you suspect they're going to lose, they will still pick up £10,000. He missed the conversion, so it remains at 12 points. £10,000 to the semi-final losers. Winners of this are guaranteed £20,000. Interesting to note, though, that when Harlequins first won the Middlesex Sevens back in 1926, they banked the princely sum of £1,621, 8 shillings and 7 pence. How times change. £10,000 for the losers in the semi-finals, and it's looking very much as if it's going to be Newcastle. And you wouldn't bet any shillings or pence on it not being the Penguins picking up the £50,000 big one at the end of all this. They've just taken their foot off the gas over the last few minutes. They know that the hard miles have been covered, but maybe Serevi fancies just offering us one last glimpse before the final of what they're capable of. Fred Asselin, the Canadian Test winger, adding his pace and contributions to things. Rush, Rakini, out to number 5, Elisara, moved from Stade Francais to Rovigo in Italy over the summer. Again, out to that man Delassus, who really has added his bulk and presence to this semi-final. And when you're watching the Penguins, it is a little like being asked to get your brush out and improve on the Sistine Chapel. As a commentator, sometimes it's just easier to shut up and watch moments like this, because words are superfluous. Have a bit of a breather. Third try for Villemoni Delassus. I told you he was a big prospect. Serevi with the conversion is good. Deep into second half injury time. We had a fair amount of that, so we may well have another minute or so, but it's 38-12, and Bill Calcroft, the manager who managed to sort out those visas from the Fijian government, can be very well pleased with his afternoon's work so far, but he knows that there's still one more hurdle to go, and Saracens will provide that hurdle. Can we get one more try from these magicians? Fred Asselin, a Canadian magician. Eric Rush offering himself but not needed. Kane Elisara, the big Dutch Kiwi. Again, Asselin. Now Serevi looking for the options. Does he go right? Does he go left? Well, he goes left and finds Craig de Goldie from the Bay of Plenty. As we've seen, the best at their best can be brilliant, but just occasionally fallible. But no one here is complaining. Another wonderful display from the Penguins. They've won this match comfortably and are through to the final for the second year running.
Quite stunning. The Penguins. The Penguins, a club formed in 1959 at Sid Cup, and here they are, full of world stars and just cruising to the final.
So dangerous. They can get you with any one of those guys. It's been fantastic to watch, and
Amazing. I think Serevi is like the Tiger Woods of rugby, isn't he? That and the worrying thing was that he was almost on a go slow in that semi-final.
Well, he was, and every sport has one, but today we've actually got a second one in Thomas Castagned playing opposite him in the final, and I think it's going to be a great matchup.
You do?
I do. Yeah, I think so. I think if the likes of Chris Chesney can get around and Darren O'Mahony can get any ball, I think for the first 4 or 5 minutes they can hold them. After that, as I said, I think they're probably too dangerous.
I suppose Saracens they've got Richard Hill in the forwards, they've got Chesney.
And I think, they're skilled ball players, but ultimately the likes of Satala and De La Salle, who has been absolutely brilliant. He's ghosting through these defences, and they'll obviously come out on top, but well, you never know. Strange things happen in sevens.
I suppose the one thing they haven't been put under any sort of pressure. It's just when a team scores, when Newcastle scored, they just said, fair enough, and we'll score 4 more. But nobody has managed to put the squeeze on them and clatter them in the tackle.
Yeah, I think so. And that maybe the physical presence Saracens could bring that to that. But I think they've played so much sevens this team. They've all been on the IRB circuit. They're so comfortable playing sevens. And I think they will probably eventually deal with it. But it could be a few minutes of strife.
It does make your mouth water to think of Castagned, freshly arrived at Saracens against Serevi, who's just the great globetrotter.
Yeah, and there's some backlash that Castagned's come over. Obviously, they spent big money on him, and he'll obviously want to prove to Nigel Ray and his club that he's here to contribute, and this would be a great scalp to get.
Yeah. So, can they do it?
It would be far-fetched, but as we said, we didn't think France could beat New Zealand here several months ago.
Perhaps it is the age of the grand surprise. It would be brilliant, wouldn't it? Well, who knows? I mean, it might be brilliant if the Penguins win.
They've brought a real class to the tournament, and they've really provided the fans with a lot to cheer about. And it is world-class athletes playing the game. And as we said earlier, the uninitiated having a great feel for rugby, and it's very exciting rugby.
The scene here at Twickenham, it has been the most sweltering day down there in the bowl. I suppose even the Penguins might be feeling the heat, but of course Serevi, he'll be used to these conditions. In fact, he probably thinks it's a bit chilly there.
Yeah, I think so. All these guys have been on this circuit. They play in Mar del Plata, they play in Fiji, they play in Tokyo, so they're used to this kind of heat.
It is an amazing, sultry day, and let's hope we have some amazing action in the final. Let's join our final commentator, Nigel Starmer-Smith.
Serevi and his cohorts wait. This remarkable club, born of a spirit of goodwill and camaraderie, founded by Tony Mason and Alan Wright, as Eddie was saying, 2 members of Sidcup. And here they are on a world stage. They played rugby in 55 countries now, from Australia to Zambia, Chile to Czechoslovakia, Switzerland to Korea. And they face, as they did last year in the final, an epic final, they face the Saracens. So here are the side led by Waisali Serevi. And they're a lineup, well, you'd be hard-pressed to improve much on it, I would say. You've brought together, the first time ever on the sevens field, 2 of the greatest exponents of the shortened game, Eric Rush and Waisali Serevi. We've seen already the brilliance of the newcomers, Satala and Delasu, the talent of Gao Gao, who was in the final, scored the winning try in extra time last year, and the others, a mixture from different parts of the world. And the Saracens lineup, well, they may be the closest to challenge them. Richard Hill, the captain there. We've seen the power of Chris Chesney. We've seen the running of Darren O'Mahony and Ben Johnston. And of course, the mercurial Thomas Castagned. It should be, let's hope, an epic final, as indeed it was last year, when the Penguins just shaded it. So it all began in 1926. What a story. It used to be the end of season carnival. Now, as a consequence of professionalism, it's become the start of season scene set. 10 Premiership clubs, the Penguins, Leeds, Army and Samurai as guests, plus London Welsh and London Nigerian, the Middlesex Club Sevens winners. 16 teams, 22 ties. It's all down to this one. And it's a repeat of last year's final. Ed Morrison, 10 minutes each way. Ed Morrison in charge, the man who had charge of Australia-South Africa just the other week and was on the line for that epic Australia-New Zealand test last weekend. So Ed Morrison with that distinction, that honour, and it's Saracens then in the white, black and red. The power there of Ben Johnson and of course tremendous support players. Castagned just floats it, and Johnson again trying to form a line, and there's a big tackle coming in. And it was the strength of Satala. Here's Serevi. Will he dominate? Will he give another tour de force? He's going for the corner himself. Covered and caught by Richard Hill. A big tackle. And we have an injury already, and it's Duncan McRae. Duncan McRae, a key playmaker. Here was Serevi. This was England flanker Richard Hill at his best, the 27-year-old and 7-year Saracen. Duncan McRae is the injured player, the new recruit to Saracens colours, an Australian from New South Wales Waratahs. Tough customer, and I think a man likely to be an important influence in Saracens colours. And here's a club side, 40 times here at the Sevens. They've been runners-up 3 times, 97, 99 most recently, and here is Castagnette. Is he to be their star today? One way, the other way, they wait. Chesney in support. Wide out. Omani in there, but it's come back with a hand, and that's a penalty, and they've also dived in. Up gets Vilianis Satala, man who's sin-binned in the last tie. So, ducky underneath, you can see the player goes down, and I think it was De Goldi who was penalised. Here's the short tap penalty. Is it in for the try? And the try has been awarded. And it's Omani who gets on the score sheet again with his 6th try of the afternoon. Omani, the Ireland international, well, he's been a little quieter in the semi-final, but perhaps saving himself for this, the final duel. So first blood to Sarries, as it was last year. They scored the opening 2 tries to lead 14-0. Castagnette adds the 2 points. A 12th conversion for the 25-year-old Frenchman, formerly of Castres, and before that Toulouse, Mont-de-Marsan. Well, a good positive start by the club from Watford against these all-stars. Here's one of them, Taniela Gaugao. He has pace, plays scrum half, but the ball in touch. He's been in the last 2 finals. Dan Gaugao, spelt Kwa. I'm assured that's the way he says it. With the Penguins, and the year before with the Barbarians in the winning 7. And of course, the world exponent of the art. From Johnston, then by Duncan McRae to Castagnette, back to Chesney. It's not forward. Chesney takes on Eric Rush. It's come to the Penguins. Then via Satala to Serevi. Satala on the loop, but the tackling's firm and secure. There's no loose play here. Delassou. Serevi, a little maestro at 35. This is De Goldi. He's clean through. Craig De Goldi from New Zealand plays as a flanker, but in this team that Bill Calcraft has brought together, he's got pace everywhere. 4 minutes and a little bit of the 10 minutes of this first half. A little show of the ball, and then a good line. Good change of direction with that acceleration from a standing start. Craig De Goldi, a try apiece, a conversion apiece as Serevi adds the 2 points. It's 7-all. Bill Calcraft, they came here with the intention of defending successfully the title they won last year. Chesney taps down, it's untidy, it's a bit of a restraining of the player. Ben Johnson was in the Saracens side last time round with Kevin Sorrell. Now trying to create the overlap, using the ball, well, I was going to say well until then, that's careless. Eric Rush, just outside the Saracens 22. Serevi at the back, playing sort of deep sweeper and deep playmaker. Not released in time.
Release quicker.
Ed Morrison, another world traveller in the rugby game these days, top UK referee. McRae. Then inside from Johnson to Chesney. Up comes Satala. Johnson again. Richard Hill, the captain of the squad. Was he interfered with? Play on, says the referee. Bit of a collision with his own man McRae, but there's an overlap out here. Castagnet turns on the gas. Chasing hard is Delassou, but there's a man outside, and Doman is there. Does he make the line? He's in touch. Touch and goal, is it? No, it's a penalty try being given. A penalty try for tugging. Well, we'll see that again. It's a penalty try. You can see here, was he pulled back? Scruff of the neck. High tackle, dangerous tackle, penalty try. Well, he grabbed his collar here, and that's dangerous, of course. So, a penalty try, no hesitation from Ed Morrison, and Penguins retake the lead. Saracens retake the lead. It's Castagnet from in front of the posts. A 7-point clear lead once again. 7 minutes played of this 10-minute half. Well, we've seen some outstanding displays by both these sides. Penguins coming through against Rotherham. Then the Samurai, a very talented lineup there, that invitation side, and then Newcastle, but never really under a lot of pressure. But they are now against the Saracens side who beat Leeds, then Sale, and then Northampton in the semi-final. Chesney via Hill, and then Nick Walsh. Not releasing quickly enough. Referee being strict on that, but it's Pither now then. Australian sevens specialist. Back to Pither from Sarevi. Eric Rush outside. Pither up the middle. Chesney finally ditches him. Picked up by De Goldie. He's in for his second. Matching try for try. Craig De Goldie with his second, and one that brings Penguins back within 2 points. The man, the flanker from Bay of Plenty, and a member of the New Zealand Sevens squad in recent seasons. He has pace off the mark. All square at 14-all. 2 tries for Craig De Goldie. Good time to score them. His first in the tournament, come in this final. £50,000 to the winning squad, 20,000 to the runners-up. And an excellent plate final. 2 sides who threatened to do better and could well have done, certainly did themselves proud. London Irish winning the plate, and the British Army, a real surprise package, played some tremendous sevens to be runners-up in the plate. Chesney's pass. Ben Johnson with about a minute of this first half to go. Now Castagnet. McRae will be fly half in the 15. More likely Castagnet at full-back is now preferred international position that he took up in the last Six Nations. Ben Johnson again, it's a loose pass. Manna from heaven, and away goes Gao Gao. Only Hill to stop him, tries the tap tackle, but Gao Gao makes it under the post. And as half-time approaches, the Penguins lead for the first time. Well, he is an extraordinary player. He, I'm sure we'd have heard more about him of late, but he went to Sydney to play rugby down there and broke his collarbone, missed most of last season, having, you may recall, scored the winning try as part of a hat-trick in the final last year. He scored the winning try in extra time, 40 points to 35 against the Saracens. 21-14. Well, not one of the long striding players, but he's shorter, stockier, but has equal pace.
Behind, guys,
nothing
behind.
Hill could do to stop him.
It's okay, didn't run.
Did it go 10? Advantage Saracens, it didn't. And they make something of it. Johnson picked up by Castagnet. McRae trying to get behind. They haven't got that clean line formation, and there's a rather hopeful pass that gave De Goldie the chance to regain it, a knock-on. And there, the half-time whistle, and it's building up to be a classic to match last year's. First Saracens, then the Penguins, back the Saracens, now the Penguins with 2 in a row to take the lead at 21-14. And with a whole 10 minutes to go, perhaps we've a chance now to have the thoughts of Gareth Rees up in the studio.
Well, we had said they had many weapons in their arsenal. 2 of the names we didn't even mention, Gao Gao, the 2 tries, and Craig De Goldie, brilliant 2 tries to really open up the Saracens. So it's going to be interesting to see if they can get back into this.
We thought it might be a final of tackles, and just 2 stuck in my mind. The one, Richard Hill chasing back on Sarevi, and the Satala tackle just to set the final off. I mean, it's you think of sevens as being a game of grace and running, but the tackling is pretty fierce out there.
Yeah, a crushing blow, and I think Sarevi maybe have a little send-off here, second half. We maybe see some of his magic, maybe a bit of dancing around, and give this crowd exactly what they wanted.
Just as a little aside, Eddie, Bill Calcraft was telling me how, in fact, he nearly failed in getting his Penguins here because, as you know, things aren't very comfortable in Fiji at the moment, and he had to plan for about 2 months and get visas eventually, when the British Embassy only giving out 2 visas to visit here a week, and he lost 1 guy in Los Angeles the day before yesterday, and finally they all arrived. But he's he's scanned the world to bring this talent together, hasn't he?
So it seems, and they are so used now to just packing a bag and going off to all these sevens tournaments. It's a huge global circus, and of course it's very well rewarded now. I think a few of them might have got out, Nigel, without visas to come here for the money.
I think he was going to send in a private plane somewhere and launch a boat to get them to it. But anyway, here they are. And where's your money now, you two?
I'm sticking with the Penguins. I didn't put my head above the parapet.
I think with their winnings, that maybe they're around tonight, the Penguins. Maybe go up with them.
Whoever wins.
OK, Nigel, back to you.
Well, 10 minutes to go in the 2000 Middlesex Charity Sevens. 21-14, the holders, the Penguins, International Rugby Football Club lead Saracens, as the ball falls into the last shades of afternoon sun. It's been the most perfect day. Happily, a pretty good crowd. Not the kind of crowd we've been used to at the tail end of the season when it's been that festival, but this is a new initiative, start of season scene set, and maybe it'll grow from here. Certainly we've had some great talent to watch. Well, Ed Morrison showing his kicking skills, gets a special cheer. So Rush and Sarevi, Gao Gao out wide. The ball handling skills, the support play, and crucially the possession. Cameron Pither plays his rugby in Japan for Nippon Steel. Here's Satala, Viliani Satala. We've really seen him in this final. He's going to go under the post, has he the acceleration, skips through the last attempted tackle, and the man who now plays his rugby for Mont-de-Marsan goes under the post with a very important score, because that's quite a big setback to add another 5 points on top of the 21 at half-time. Well, elusive running, we've seen it characterised so often, and here's part of the new breed really, with others like Simone Rocchini, and here's Viliana Satala and Delasu, as the conversion is back in the groove, slotted by Waisali Sarevi in front of the posts, and the man who's playing for the first time ever with Eric Rush, bringing 2 of the greats together. The man now restarting. 5 Hong Kong Sevens titles, part of the Fiji side that won the 97 Rugby World Cup Sevens, the first one. Good pressure, you see, that's half the battle, isn't it? The contact, one in, all in, and not allowing time of movement and rebuilding and getting the line straight. But this time, it's a penalty, Penguins on the 22. Danny, or Taniela, Gao Gao. I want it, says Sarevi. Chesney goes for the big intercept, but there's a knock-on by De Goldie. Well, sometimes worth the gamble.
Just a rest, guys, okay? Come in, we're just going to slip in. Wait till I say. And engage. When the ball's come out.
A lot of pressure on the on Walsh. McRae, oh, good recovery. Little chip and chase, down by Satala. Up from Rush. Power in form of Delassou. Vilimoni Delassou. First season of sevens, he's quickly become a star, the number 14 in possession now. Just pops it along. They have such confidence in their own hands. Gao, some brave tackles coming in, but not quite effective enough. Crossing, penalty, and it's possession that Saracens now need desperately. Sarevi, seemingly ageless on the sevens circuit. So Sarries, bit of possession. They need two scores converted. It's out with Ben Johnson. Ben Johnson against Sarevi. Sarevi's got the angle, he's got the man. They need one man more in support than they had, and Namani couldn't catch the loose pass.
Okay, come away, please.
Somehow the Penguins seem to have a man on either side in support to give the option to the man being tackled. You can see here it was no way Sarevi was going to miss that, and it was a bit unlucky in the end, just too hard on the pass. There's a little hold up and injury here, and Satala has taken a knock, but of course subs allowed, and don't underestimate the replacements that are in the Penguins lineup. Fred Asselin, probably the quickest man on the field, the Canadian.
Turnover, gone 90 degrees.
So we've got Simone Rocchini.
Wait, come in slowly.
Saracens. Again, you see the pressure is there. They close down so fast. And there's no one there to help, and that surely is close to not releasing, but the referee playing good advantage here because Penguins have got it back. Eric Rush up the middle. That's a characteristic little determined run. It's not fluent. The pass, though, you see, it's instinctive. It's forward. Unlucky. De Goldie doesn't get the hat-trick. And the sponsors have been running a little charity donation to the side that scores the most points, and already Penguins have notched up over 140, and I think they will take the £2,000, which will go straight to the charity of their choosing. It's still 28-14, but still 4.5 minutes is a long time in the sevens, but one more might seal it. Delassou to the corner, it could be that one. Vilimoni Delassou, member of the Fijian 15 aside in his first season of sevens, and he might have put the wraps on this one. That's his 4th try of the tournament, and in the end it was just that little sleight of hand. It's the body movement so often that gives them that little edge on the takeoff. And there, the drive to the line. So up to 33-14. It's not the tight tie of the final last year, when in fact it was Saracens who were 14 points ahead at one time. 33-14. Penguins, as players take on the places of the ones whose legs are just beginning to fail. De Goldie's gone off, so too Nick Walsh on the Saracen side, and Ben Johnson. Chesney's been a good workhorse throughout the afternoon, but again the close quarter possession won again. Sarevi just leans back, seems to have all the time, and then tries all the trickery of the trade, the little change of pace, the inside support. There he is, lining up classically with the other great sevens world star in Eric Rush. And so it's finally coming down in these last couple of minutes to something of an exhibition of how the game can be played. Sarevi to Rush, never before on the rugby field, and good to see. Eric Rush synonymous with New Zealand's seven-a-sides. Saracens floats one nonchalantly over the bar and secures around 40 points, just as they scored in the final last year. But now I think they can safely say the money's in the bank. And 2 minutes for Saracens to pull it back. They certainly made a tremendous contest of it in the first half, but the experience is the key factor here. Penguins have it in such depth. Chesney against Elisala, the man of mixed ancestry, Dutch and New Zealand, Elisala. McRae, Amani, they're wide, and I think it's Horton who's come on wide out. The cover's still there. It's not in their nature to let things slide. New Zealanders or Fijians in sevens, they will play full tilt to the last. A minute and a half remains. Richard Hill there, the captain, has done a tremendous job here. And what a season, a busy season ahead of him. And, so many colours. One presumes, obviously, Saracens, England, and a Lions next year. So Penguins, well, you can only admire it. Vilimoni Delasu, unstoppable, and they'll keep running all day. So, some tired limbs, and of course it hurts even more as you fall further behind. The tiredness, you feel so much more. And again, the conversion by Saracens. That's half a dozen conversions in this final. Well, you can only admire this kind of talent. Vilimoni Delasu. Well, looking to get the half-century. Remember, it was 21-14 at half-time. They've now not conceded a score in the second half and added a further 26 points. Chesney. Saracens won't give up. Hill. And the chase by Hill. Hill inside for the return pass from Sorrell. Well deserved. Good work by the skipper. He just salutes, knows the outcome is not in doubt, but nevertheless there's pride, and Saracens being saluted by the opposition because they played a full part in this final. Good work by Kevin Sorrell. He was a member of this side last year and 2 years ago when they were runners-up. But is it that Saracens are destined forever now to be runners-up in this tournament? This will be the fourth time in 4 years. The conversion misses. Ed Morrison blows the final whistle of the Middlesex Charity Sevens 2000, as once again we salute the world-class talents of the Penguin International Rugby Football Club, winning 47 points to the Saracens 19. Well, it looked as though it was going to be a contest to match up to last year's, which went to the wire and went to extra time before Penguins asserted their marginal superiority. Today, I think we've all sensed from the very start that this was a side that was not going to be beaten. They had perhaps their toughest encounter earlier on against the Welsh and multinational invitation side, the Samurai, but in the end, 26-10, a more comfortable victory than that might have been. But that seemed to be the crunch match which came in the quarter-final. Newcastle put up a brave display, but again, experience and talent told against the young academy side who performed magnificently throughout. And Saracens of the home-based teams were the team with the talent that might have stretched them. But I think, as our experts in the studio were saying before the game, they weren't able to continue putting on that pressure. And the Penguins were never fully tested, certainly once they got ahead towards the end of the first half. So to the victors, the spoils in this Middlesex Sevens. £50,000 will be a cheque which will enable them to fly where they want to in the world, and a little more besides. 20,000 will go to Saracens, the runners-up, as they now go up to receive the runners-up trophy, and the runners-up trophy will be called the Yarrington Solver, in honour of Sir Peter Yarrington, who was of course so often and so long synonymous with the public address system here at Middlesex, and a great Middlesex committee man and former RFU president. And so the Yarrington Solver to Richard Hill and the Saracens squad. And there's a man whose smile and boyish good looks will make him a very popular figure, I'm sure, off the field as much as on it at Saracens, because he's such a charming and generous young person, is Thomas Castagnède. There too, a man who's received a few pots before now, and a few checks as well. Waisali Serevi, the captain, briefly of course with us as a 15-a-side man at Leicester, but has moved to other fresh pastures now down at Mont-de-Marsan in France. And again, delighting the crowd here, who will always flock to see him. Seems to have been on the scene forever, claims to be only 32, with those 5 Hong Kong titles and a World Sevens title, and a smiling, happy face, who has made his way up the steps to lead this galaxy of talent in the colours of the great Penguin Rugby Club, as that spirit of goodwill and camaraderie that is the ethos of the club continues, albeit in this professional era. So Derek Mann, the president of the Middlesex Sevens Committee, and what an institution he has been, a great servant of Middlesex and this Sevens tournament. The Russell Cargill Memorial Trophy raised high, alongside Trevor Beaumont, chief executive of Eurobet, and present too here today, the president of the Rugby Football Union, Bud Rogers. Well, perhaps not the epic climax we expected, but I'm sure plenty to reflect on with Gareth Rees and Eddie Butler.
Same final as last year, same results, Gareth, perhaps without the drama of last year.
Yes, I think it was over after maybe those 3 or 4 minutes when the Saracens came out fighting, but it was lovely to see, and it's great to see rugby in this venue and played with such great athletes. It was wonderful to see.
Amazing. With the temperatures we've had, I mean, Serevi looked hardly out of breath during the game. He certainly wasn't out of breath going up to collect the pot.
No, something he's quite used to. The Fijians won the IRB World Series this year, and as Nigel said, he's won his share of trophies and duly credited, because he was fantastic. In the earlier rounds, he was perhaps more effective.
They were so far ahead of the rest of the opposition, and I suppose that's fair enough because they've trawled the world for the very best, but they were so far ahead that Serevi didn't really have to stretch himself, and it was almost as if the final was going to pass by without him doing something, and then he did it. Then he just put on a little show.
Little foot shuffle, and it was, as Nigel pointed out, great to see the ball going from Serevi to Eric Rush, two of the men who have laid the groundstone for this World Sevens game that's emerging, and it was great to see. And he's just a special little athlete. I played 15s against him. He's not as strong in the 15s game, but he's still dangerous. He can get you anyway.
There's Bill Colcroft.
Yeah, they brought together a great side, and the Penguins, they said, they've been to the 10s and they've been to places like China this year trying to spread the gospel, and I think that's important. They have a great attitude. The Penguins has a fantastic history, and gives a lot of opportunities to guys to get around the world and spread the gospel. Okay,
here are some of the highlights of that final. Gao Gao, he emerged in the later rounds, perhaps taking over from Serevi as the star of the show.
Yeah, so there's an element that Serevi's a marked man as well. You see bodies flooding to him, and here he just stepped out of the tackle, and obviously his pace is too much for Richard Hill there. Pace all round in this Penguin side, as we said, and that, with the kind of space there is in a sevens field, it's almost impossible to defend it.
Well, he's not up to Serevi's class yet, because he's puffing.
Yes,
you can't do that.
This is the other sort of Cameron Pither, hard-running Australian sevens captain, laying off to Satala here, is it? And Satala, interesting, one of the few Fijians who's made the transfer to 15s. He was fantastic in the last World Cup. Again, we played against him, and as a pure centre in 15s, he's a true class act.
He's now playing with Serevi down in Mont-de-Marsan, down in France.
It must be very entertaining to watch that. And here's the man, this is the little foot shuffle I think we're going to see. Just biding his time, looking for the other great man in Eric Rush. Wrong foot's a defender, and that was enough. And it's a patented little goose shuffle step. And as we say, Eric Rush, the New Zealand leader, who lost out this year in a great rivalry with the Fijians on that IRB circuit.
Serevi to Rush. We've never heard it before. Actually, given their ages, we may never hear it again.
No, I wouldn't think so. I know Serevi's starting to pull back a little bit from his sevens commitments, and it may not. There's a sleight of hand that we come to expect from him, and crowd were thoroughly entertained today, and I think because of the likes of these individuals, they came in from the West Car Park for once and watched this great final.
Contented players. Let's join a contented manager with Nick Mullins.
Yep, Bill Calcraft is here, plus family Calcraft. Introducers.
Kit, this is young Kit Calcraft,
and this
picking
is...
up a few tips, and Darcy.
Well, hello to you all. What's it been like working with these guys this week?
Oh, it's a pleasure really to get involved with these sort of players at this level and get them here at Twickenham, and they got better and better through the day, and I like to think that people enjoy watching them play. And I have to say, people like Eric Rush were delighted to be teaming up with Wassal Serevi. They've never been, all their years of sevens, they've never played together. And then to bring a couple of those special guys from the islands to Twickenham was something special. There was some great running, wasn't there?
I know you worked hard to get visas, etc., from the Fijian government. Yeah. What do you think the long-term future of sevens is? We've got the World Seven Series running now. Where does this game go?
Well, it goes on and on. There's no doubt if you speak with the players involved in the professional game that it's gone to another level quite clearly, and these guys are specialists in the sevens game. Once upon a time it was take your best 15s, put them on for sevens, but now it's a very specialised game.
Well done, we've enjoyed it. Thank you.
Great, thanks.
A specialist game on a special summer's day, Gav. Can you see sevens taking off?
Most definitely, and I think something we find in North America when we're trying to get people to watch the game, it's easy to understand for new people to come to watch rugby in England and in Britain. I think it's a great tool, and I think there are a few maybe could learn from today, and it's time they sent some of their young players out to this IRB circuit.
OK, we need the Brits doing their bit for the sevens game. It's a fantastic experience. Hope you've enjoyed it here at Twickenham. The Middlesex Sevens has come to an end. The Penguins have won it. They're world stars from us. Very good afternoon.
You know the score.
Good awareness. Keeper's going one with the ball, ends up the back of the net.
Oh, extravagant! You must know the score.
Oh, that is amazing! That is amazing!
It's getting close.
Oh, it's a great shot! You do know the score. And a goal! That was sheer class.
Usual format.
Pick your best three.
Your first look at every Premiership goal, August the 19th, match of the day is back. You know the score. Saturday, 10:30, BBC One.